People don't understand how bad the economy is about to get, or how bad people's lives can get, really. There may be food in the stores now. There may be clothes, shopping items, whatever you're looking for in the stores now, but those shelves are going to go empty. It's not an if, it's just simply a when. The impacts of these tariffs aren't something that happen right away. Although if you are importing, yes, you're going to see the cost right up front. But when we're talking about retail, it takes a while for these things to happen. But when they do happen, what you're going to start noticing is that things just aren't being restocked. What you went and got at the store last week isn't there next week. That's how this works. It's not an immediate impact, although some things will be. For the most part, these things take time. But once the shelves go empty, they're going to stay empty. So we have to prepare ourselves. I'm not saying go out and panic buy. That's not something that anybody should do, but definitely prepare. See what things you have missing in your pantry, what things you would need. Stock up on rice, stock up on beans. These things can stretch and last you a while. And they're also the first things to go as people realize that scarcity is about to happen. But the shortages to come, it's not just a possibility at this point, it is an inevitability.
April 10th, all Chinese imports to the United States shut down. No deals, no containers, no compromise. But here's the catch. It takes 30 days for those containers to even hit Los Angeles, 45 for Houston and Chicago, and 55 for New York. That means the real impact is starting now. Truckers in LA are losing work. Warehouses are doing layoffs. The freight isn't showing up because it no longer exists. Chicago and Houston, they're 2 weeks behind LA. And New York, still unloading pre-shutdown containers. But when they run out, it's over. This is what an invisible economic crash looks like. Not with explosions, but silence. Empty warehouses, idling trucks, and layoffs. Now let's say the government panics by May 31st, they scrap the tariffs, and China agrees to restart trade. Even then, it'll take at least 30 more days for goods to hit LA, 45 to 55 for the rest. That's mid-summer before the first ripple of recovery. And that's only if China's factories come back on like nothing happened at all, which they won't. Orders were canceled, trust was broken. This is not a reset, it's a rupture. Let's just all hope these trade deals come to fruition fast, because we're speeding toward a brick wall.
It's exactly that. We can't let the propaganda fool us and think that everything's going to be okay, because the fact is, it's not going to be okay. This scenario that America is going to be dealing with isn't a possibility. It's coming down the pipeline right now. It's just slowly playing out, but it's going to come. What we're going to start seeing over the next couple weeks are shortages all over the West Coast. And the sad thing is, as that happens in the Midwest, which is deep Trump territory, we're going to be having news. We're going to be having social media go ahead and say that it's the liberal cities that are paying the price, and good. This is a good thing. But as that spreads across the country, the poorest communities in America are going to get slammed with these shortages, and there's not going to be any help for them. So it doesn't matter who you vote for, you're going to be getting hit hard by this. It just takes time. As far as job loss, we're already seeing that. All over the country, truckers are already being laid off or just walking away from their trucks because they're not picking up loads. We already had the CEO of the LA docks come on the news and say that wharf workers aren't going to be getting the same shifts. Truckers are going to be waiting longer to pick up loads. The thing is, when these trucks aren't moving, the drivers aren't being paid. And if no freight is moving, that means the freight companies aren't making any money, and they need to start laying off truckers to compensate for those losses. It's the same thing at the docks. The people who are used to getting the same hours that they've always been getting, now they're not getting those hours. That means they can't pay their bills. They can't buy groceries. They can't pay their mortgage. This hits the working class incredibly hard, and it's coming, and it's spreading across the country. Like I said, it's not a possibility. This is something that is playing out right now. So we have to prepare. If everything around you is fine right now, prepare yourself. Because in times of peace, we prepare for war, and in times of plenty, we should prepare for famine. That's a reality. That's what we should do. A prudent person prepares at all times. Because our economy, our consumer-based system relies heavily on the global market. And because we've just shut that out, we're going to have a massive adjustment that's going to be made. And the consequences of that are already being seen by millions of jobs being slashed, finish dates for construction of new homes being pushed back, and prices needing to be adjusted because the cost of labor and the cost of equipment and resources are going to be rising. That means that blue collar and construction jobs are also on the chopping block now. No one is safe, and that's the reality of this moment now, and we need to accept that and not just fight it, not fall for delusion, not fall for propaganda, but like I said, prepare ourselves and look out for each other. And like I said, this isn't a time to panic buy. No one should do that. But like I said, look at your pantry and see what holes you have. Look what's missing. And just shore up those areas. Make sure that you have enough food for a few months. Because even if food is still at the stores, the fact is these things are going to be expensive. Food prices are going to have to go up because the demand is going to be so high. That's how scarcity works. We're not used to that in America. We're not used to not getting our way. We're not used to not being able to get mangoes or avocados whenever we want. But the fact is, this is the reality that we're now going to be dealing with, and it's going to wreck people that they can't just get what they need. Americans are a spoiled population, and unfortunately, reality is about to smack them in the face. And while that may make a lot of people happy, there's a lot of good people out there, good normal people who are about to suffer for political gain. Because in the end, China doesn't suffer because of these tariffs. The American people do, because it's the American people who pay for them. They're like, well, I might not be paying for them. I'm not ordering anything from China. But a lot of the products that you buy from American stores were produced in China. They were manufactured in China, and those costs are going to transfer over to that store, which means they're going to transfer over to you. Even if it says it's made in America, there's a good chance that the packaging itself comes from China because it's a way for businesses and corporations to cut down on the cost of producing goods. And do we have the industry or manufacturing abilities right now to replace all of those things that are coming in from overseas? No, we don't, because that takes time to build, and that's not time that we have. Because instead of slowly building up to a transition of going from the global market to an isolationist mentality where we focus on commerce purely domestic, we're diving straight into it. We're cutting off the arm for injuring our finger, and there's going to be pain. Lots of pain in this country. And who does it affect most? And the dock workers and the truck drivers, these are canaries in the coal mine for the economy. When we're talking about our economic system, our trade, our supply chain, these people are not just needed, they are necessary to maintaining that supply chain. So yes, it may take a while to hit us, but it's going to hit us. The impacts of these tariffs are destroying community. They're destroying families, and they're destroying livelihoods. And like he said in the video, the longer this takes, the longer that we don't have any kind of negotiation, the longer that resentment builds between our countries, a resentment that's already there. And that lack of trust when it comes to actually conducting business goes away. Because who wants to do business with somebody who can just casually increase and decrease the prices? They don't. And you know what? The American people shouldn't want to either. Because like I said, these price hikes that we're going to be getting, they're solely because of the tariffs. That's it. There's no other reason that would drive the prices up except the tariff, which is going to cause all these companies in America to pay more, which means that we have to pay more. So you can say that it's from Biden. You can say that it's from the past 4 years. You can say it's from Obama back in the day, but it doesn't matter because it's not true. This is all propaganda. This is simply from the tariffs. And the worst part about this, these price hikes and all that, where is that money actually going? It's to the US government. It's not going to China. Most of it's not coming from the corporations because they understand that people are barely going to be able to pay for these, so they can't jack up the margins like we think they can. The biggest and greatest beneficiary of these tariffs is the United States government. That is it. Full stop. This country used to be for the people, or so we were told, but it seems to be now that this entire government, the nation, the culture, does everything to work against the common working person in America. The working class is going to be absolutely destroyed by the end of these tariffs, and it's going to take generations for it to come back. America essentially is ending what it was, and it's ending to applause. People are very happy about this. And it's easy to be happy when the tide pulls out and the seas seem calm, but at the same time, there's a tsunami heading your way, and you don't even know about it. And that's what America's about to get hit by, a financial and economic tsunami caused by these tariffs. It has to change. It has to stop. These tariffs, they got to go away, because the longer it takes, the more damage and the more pain that Americans are going to have to go through. The more the American working class, the working poor, are going to suffer for the greed of one man and the political elite. That's all that's benefiting from this. I thought the goal of the right was to make smaller government, but if that's the case, why are they sucking up all the resources that America has? Because it doesn't take a genius or an economist to tell you that there's hundreds of thousands of small businesses right now that are being shut down. And when they do shut down, it's going to be the major corporations that swoop in and take that market share and lock out normal American working class people. This is reality. And the longer this takes to resolve, the longer that America is going to have to suffer. And Americans don't deserve to suffer. Not normal, regular American people who are just trying to work, take their kids to school, have some time on the weekends, and just live their life. They shouldn't have to worry of unnecessary tariffs and the damage that it's going to do to their country. It's not just going to impact us for a year or two. It's going to impact America and our culture for generations. This will ruin any kind of trust that the American people have towards the US government, trust that's already at a minimum already, and will push American people to radicalize. I mean, this is really the consequence in the end of this. It's just the disillusion of a high trust society, a society that's been losing that trust for a long time, but surely it has to have been gone at this point. Because one of the biggest consequences of scarcity is criminality. And the people who are going to suffer that criminality, again, are the poorest people out there. Because the desperate people will act out of necessity, and we can't expect anything else when we push them into necessity. So any calls for calmness, any calls for people to just obey and calm down are going to fall on deaf ears, as they should. Because the same people that are going to be calling for the American people to relax, to just chill out and, hey, we got it, those are the same people who put us in this situation in the first place. The American people just want to live their lives. That's all it is. But these tariffs, but the choices that are being made right now by our politicians are putting the American people in danger. That's all this is. That's all this is. And it's too much. Why do they want to get rid of all the social nets and social services that people rely on? You want to privatize everything? Guess what? You know who's going to benefit from that the most? If you privatize the police, the fire department, welfare, Social Security, whatever. If you privatize all those things, you know who's only going to be able to benefit from that? Urban areas, the cities, liberal areas. That's it. And they don't want that. So it amazes me that in the Midwest, you have people who are calling for canceling and just slashing all of these social services when it's the poorest people who actually use those social services. You have been conned into rooting for your own demise, because once those are gone, there is no support. There is no government check. If you're still here, like and subscribe. We're all in this together. And I know people are probably tired of me saying that, but it's true. I'd like to believe it, that in the end, we're all in this together, and that we're not just going to turn on each other. But I think we all know that that's not the way that this will go. America's a desperate people, and we don't like each other anymore. And the only thing that we share these days is stress and anxiety and pain. That's it. That and the reluctant participation in a system that drains us dry and looks to rob us of everything that we've worked for. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. It's Large Man Abroad again, and I hope you guys have a good weekend.